Alright, Katniss. The capital is in disarray. All of the districts are now behind us. All we need to do is make it through this minefield, and we have snow. Let's go.
Wah wah wah.
Wait, what?
Wah wah wah.
What?
Wah wah wah
No,
wah
no,
wah
no.
wah
We don't need to sit
wah.
around for 20 minutes. Let's just get going. We have a safe path. Let's go before they realize that we're just sitting around doing nothing and they send something after us.
Wah 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 wah.
Okay. Fine. I guess we can just sit here and contemplate how you love the crazy guy that's gonna kill us. Be fine.
Wah 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 wah.
Oh, can we finally go?
Wow.
Oh, thank God. Let's go kill Snow. Why are we stopping again? Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of Hunger Games: Mockingjay Part 2. And oh boy, am I gonna get a lot of flack for this one. I got enough flack for my last Mockingjay video. Okay, so, non-spoiler version. This was not worth seeing at full price. It's just like Part 1. It's maybe only about a half a movie. There is so much padding inside of this movie. So much. Every 20 minutes or so, the movie will just stop. People will just sit down and talk about nothing. Not character development, not exposition, not anything like that. Just, they'll sit down and talk about the stupid love triangle. It seriously is like, Peeta, do you love me? I don't know. I want to kill you. I'm unstable, and I don't know why they brought me to the battlefield. That's all they talk about for 20 minutes. Like, in every 20 minutes, interval. They just stop and do nothing. The hell? I came to watch basically a climax to the last movie, right? No. We need more pandering to this stupid love triangle. There are enjoyable moments in this. There's a lot of things inside of it that worked, but everything is basically ruined by its pacing. This movie is slow as hell. It just likes to slam on the brakes every 20 minutes or so, and just, you get whiplash. You get into it. Oh, stop. Oh, stop. I mean, seriously, think of it like you're driving in a car. Would you prefer just a smooth sailing drive with the occasional slowdown to a stoplight and speed up back to getting going? Or would you prefer, slam on the brake, not brakes, but slam on the gas, brake, slam on the gas, brake, slam on the gas, brake. Would you call that a good moving experience? The moments that are good when it's actually on the brake, or when it's on the gas and just moving forward, are really good, well acted. Surprisingly, there's actually a moment where the guy who played Gale actually kind of impressed me inside of this. I don't really like him if you watch my other videos. But every time they slam on the brakes, it ruins the feel of the movie, the tone they're going for, everything. To sum up this movie in a nutshell is that you're probably going to see it because it's the Hunger Games. You have to see it. You've watched all the other ones. I bought all of the other movies. Now I have to get this one. And, it's just, we're programmed like that. But if you're going to go see it in theaters, my final recommendation is wait till matinee or till it gets to the cheap theater, because it is not worth paying full price for this movie. You're getting half of an experience, just like you did with the last one. Part 1 and Part 2 ruins movies. I will give Harry Potter the credit it deserves, that it needed that, and that I think that Part 2 actually did succeed, but Part 1 didn't in the Harry Potter movies. It doesn't feel like either of them succeed. It really doesn't. And, yeah, going into the actual spoilers, the plot of the movie is, well, now the capital's in shambles. All of the 13 districts are on their side, and they're going for broke, and they're going to kill them. So what does Snow do? He turns the entire capital into a giant minefield filled with pods that basically act as the Hunger Game traps. And to the movie's credit, those pods, when they're actually using them, are really, really, really cool and creative. The black tar goo stuff that you see in the trailer, there's a guy that gets pushed into that, and then it like turns itself into a freaking predator wire trap where suddenly he does whooshing, and he gets hoisted in the air and pulled until there's like nothing but a smushed up corpse inside of this metal death trap. Kind of creative. I'm not gonna lie. There's another light thing that like beams down energy, and when you touch it, it disintegrates you or turns you into like little itty bitty stone. Jesus, this would be rated R. It's cool, but this is R level violence. It really is. There's one part where a bunch of people get blown up. Yeah, might want to think about pushing back the France release of this movie. Just saying, Hollywood. Ill-timed. But yeah, there's a part where people get blown up and there's no blood. There's no blood, there's no even charring, just a bunch of dead people on the ground. But yeah, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. That's basically the movie, though. It's just them going into the city and trying to fight through these traps to get to Snow, who's held up inside of his mansion at the Capitol. It's a straight up action movie. This would be a great climax to the last movie if they had shortened it down. This movie is way too long, but let's go more into the good. As always, Jennifer Lawrence is great as Katniss, even if you kind of realize at this point that Katniss as a character really sucks. Jennifer Lawrence, as an actress, is amazing, but she's the reason why we watch this, not Katniss. Katniss just gets told what to do all the time. She's never actually choosing much anything for herself, and that's kind of annoying. But then you have Jennifer Lawrence, especially with the tragedy that happens at the end of the film, who just acts the hell out of this, and her performance is always just great. The guy who played Peeta also did a great job playing this kind of schizo. He doesn't know what's real. He's a really broken character. You do actually feel for Peeta inside of this movie. Gale, he had his moment at the end of the film where he actually surprised me. But the guy who played Gale, as always, is just monotone. Talk, yeah. Well, we gotta think of it like a wolf's den, you know? We can't really go in after fighting them, so we have two options. We either seal them in or we smoke them out. He's passable. He's there to be, oh look, he looks cute. You gotta have that for the female fans. Because heaven forbid that we actually just, lower his role and give it to the more interesting character who gets killed off at the very beginning of the film, the security officer for District 13. Seriously, he was awesome, but then he dies. There's a lot of people that die in this movie. This movie is very grim, and I give it credit for actually going full force with its grim tone. A lot of films might have kind of wanted to hush step around wood chips on this one, because it gets really dark inside of this film, and there is really no happy ending, despite what the ending was trying to tell you, that everything ended happy. There really isn't one. The series is pointless. That goes into one of the bigger mistakes, but it's in the book also, apparently. I've heard people talk about it and complain about it, so I can... it was a dumb choice on your part, Susan Collins. I think that was her name. Susanna Collins. But yeah, it's going into some more of the good. The effects inside of this are really good. Even when they go into the CGI monster territory, which we know from Hunger Games 1 they have a problem with, the monsters were actually intimidating, and they were kind of cool looking, although they were just ripped straight from the Descent. You know, those monsters who can't see anything. I would also argue they're from Full Metal Alchemist, the manga, and Brotherhood. They looked a lot like those guys. Just saying. But yeah, the whole when it's actually moving, when action is happening, when there's suspenseful moments, when they're talking about the politics of this, when they're talking about the propaganda stuff that they're doing, this movie is really good and engaging. But really outside of that, there's nothing but bad I can say about this film. Because, as I said in the intro, every about 20 minutes or so, they decide to take a 10 or 15 minute break where they just sit around and talk about nothing. No character development, no freaking... just nothing. They go back and forth like, do you love me? I don't know if I love you anymore. You're crazy and you tried to kill me. But I'm kind of crazy and I'm a liability. I should die. You should really kill me. No, because I love you. I think I do. I don't know. And just back and forth. And most of these scenes are done the exact same way. They're all sitting down or sleeping somewhere, and you have one or two of them that are awake, and they're talking in a very, very hushed. We can't wake up the others with this. But you don't understand, Katniss. You need to kill me. I'm not worth saving. You have another guy who's willing to love you. Just stop. That's how they talk in all of these scenes, because they're all done and shot the exact same way. And why did this movie feel like it needed padding? There's a good 30 or 40 minutes from this film that you can cut. This movie would have been a great 2.5 hour action movie, even with the part 2 that was put into it. So, why do we have padding? I stated this last time when I was talking about this, but for some reason, as like this culture, can't really make an hour and a half movie anymore. That's somehow seen as worse than a movie that's longer. Why? It wasn't the first Ghostbusters movie like only an hour and 40 minutes? Back to the Future, the first one. That one's not even an hour and 40 minutes, isn't it? That's like almost an hour 35 minutes. Good films can be made that are only an hour and a half. We don't need to pad these things out like a freaking teenager's bra. That was a horrible, horrible thing. I've been watching Spoonie a lot. But we don't need to pad these out. We don't need this. Just let the film tell its story, and we can take all of these scenes out and nothing would be lost. Nothing would be gained. It's really mind-boggling. And it's not just these films that do it. Seriously, go look at all of the Oscars for the last 10, even 15 years. You'll notice that longer films get nominated. That and biographical films. But the longer the film is, the more likely it is to get nominated. We can never have a Oscar movie that is less than 2.5 hours. No. We have to have butt-numbingly long 3.5 hour movies. They'll get the Oscar nods. I don't mind when films are longer. I really don't. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing per se. I'm saying that if you're going to make it longer, have a point. These scenes don't have points. They're just there for the sake of being there. And a lot of times they're pandering to that stupid love triangle that no one really gives a crap about, because it's pretty obvious from the first movie that Gale is not a part of this. It's just Peeta and Katniss and her will she or won't she relationship, because she actually does have feelings for Gale still. But by the end of this film, those feelings are gone. I'm pretty sure they were gone by the end of the second movie, but this movie, going into the ending, I'll talk about in a second, but they're gone. And God, they telegraph kills inside this film. They really do. The biggest one is Finnick. he got married. He's on the mission with them, and he's talking about how they're gonna go on their honeymoon in the capital after they take it. God, he is a dead man. I mean, this is like more hammered in than Hawkeye in Avengers 2. But at least Joss Whedon actually realized what he was doing in Avengers 2, and that's why he was able to change it around so good, and it actually was a semi shocking thing. But nope, he's dead, and of course he dies to the aforementioned CGI monsters. One of the better slow moments happens when they go into the sewer. Now, I hate when they go into the sewer. They do it so often inside of films like these. And does anyone like the sewer level in video games? Do you like them in films? I can't really think of many sewer scenes that brought something to this. I will give freaking The Amazing Spider-Man 1 some credit that, yeah, that's where the lizard usually did hang out. And when Peter's exploring down there and he finds the base, stuff actually does happen. I'll give it credit, but it's a fucking sewer. There are better places you can set up. And bows and arrows. Are they really a good weapon to be taking into the sewer? Really? Even with the explosive tips? Wouldn't a grenade or a handgun or, I don't know, since you're in such close combat, it's a fucking knife do you better? But no, we have to go to the sewer level. And it's kind of a homage ripoff of Aliens, where they're all just like freaking this deep in water, holding up their guns, they're going through and just kind of looking around. It's kind of cool that they did that, but at the same time, it's padding until the next, let's bend down here for the night. Katniss, it's your watch. And they go into the talking scenarios again. Oh my god, you can cut that entire segment out of this film and just cut to when Katniss wakes up reacting to some of the noises. And this was where it actually got kind of cool, because as I said, those monsters without the eyes that actually are good, she starts hearing stuff down there, and PETA starts reacting. He's like, oh my god, they sent down much. We need to get out of here now. And he starts waking up the other people. And it gets into this, they hear the noises and they're like reacting to every little thing. This is when the slower pace actually does help. It helps build tension, especially with there were fake outs in the music for the stupid, you think there's going to be an orchestra sing type thing for a jump scare? No. And there is a jump scare, and it's pretty obvious when you actually get to it. It's like, oh, that's a fake one. That's the one they're going to go with. The obvious turnaround, they're suddenly behind you, and you turn around to try to shoot them, but they attack you. That one. That popular one. I'm so glad that we're just going back to the Maze Runner stuff with Maze Runner Scarce Trials. Total proof that those movies aren't just ripping off the Hunger Games. It's one of the better scenes inside of it, because it is actually a lot of tension built there as they're trying to get out of the sewer before these things catch up to them. And they do get to the end, the actual exit, only to have the things catch up with them, and they have to do a fight scene down there, which is pretty cool, except for the fact that you realize that there's no reason why any of them should be hard pressed or dead inside of this situation. These things are pretty easy to kill. Oh, they have numbers. We have exploding arrows, and I'm pretty sure that the commander over there has a couple of grenades. And I have an automatic rifle. They're bottlenecked. They're coming from one direction. Change. This isn't hard. They're going down pretty easily. PETA takes out two of them by snapping their necks. Katniss is able to stop one by putting her hand on her head and long enough for her to grab an arrow and stab it into it. Finnick is doing an amazing job with his trident. He's just wailing on them, cutting them up and stabbing them. This would be hard R if there was even a drop of blood in this scene. There's a part. This is where Finnick dies even. Where, yeah, he basically gets, stays down there and gets everyone up there, And he's fighting them all off, and when he tries to get up there himself, they end up pulling him back down, dragging him under the water, and ripping him to pieces. Again, this would be a hard R if there's a drop of blood. It's something that I think that a lot of people who make adaptations don't really consider, especially by the final book, is that the books mature with the readers. So although it may be Harry Potter 1, very, very kiddish, silly, fun family adventure, by the time you reach book 7, there's a lot of character death, and a lot of gruesome character death in the form of a spell that basically makes a magic sword that slices up people. I'm not even kidding you. That's actually in Harry Potter. They kind of went into it in movie 6, but then it's completely ignored for the rest of them. So, yeah, it's alright to make it a little bit more graphic and even go for an R. But we can't have an R rating because that would cut down our ability to bring people in. Or you realize that the audience that's going to this has matured with these movies, and most of them are old enough to watch a rated R film. Ever think of that? God, this PG-13 pandering bullshit bugs me. How many movies are ruined because they have to cut out the blood, cut out the gore, cut out the harsher language, cut out the adult situation because they want a freaking PG-13 rating because they can open up the markets. People bring their kids to PG-13 movies because they think it's okay. I get trying to appeal to a wider audience, but this is bullshit. It really is. Finnick ends up dying in that scene. I admit that's one of the better scenes in the movie, where the slow pacing actually did help. But remember, we had to sit through like 20 minutes of them talking and walking through the sewer without a single threat or problem in this goddamn film. And they keep doing it. They keep doing it. Right after this scene, they get to the surface where they're ambushed by soldiers and they got to run through those light things while being shot and the floor turning into giant razor blade propeller things trying to cut them up. And they got to run, and they end up... They realize they're sitting ducks, so they have to find somewhere to hide. They go to this random person who's dressed up like a tiger. Who puts on their makeup in the middle of a war zone? I know that you're the capital and they're trying to do that, but who puts on their fucking makeup in the middle of a war zone? And she ends up hiding him inside the basement. Now, you could just make this scene go over very well by making it about 5 minutes long. Let's make it 20 minutes, and let's have another one of those stupid conversations about the love triangle while Katniss is pretending to be asleep. God damn it, there's so much fat on this movie. Ugh. You're starting to see the problem with the pattern here. You're really starting to see it. You get this good, intense action scene, which would be very good in just by itself. And then they just gotta sit down and talk for 20 minutes. So how about the Met? This movie could be good if it would stop doing this and keep the intensity and action up. It doesn't. And, yeah. Then we get to the aforementioned bombing scene. This is where the problem comes in. The ending problem. That, this is major spoiler. And anybody who hasn't read the book, I'm not going to put a stupid skip number inside of it, but if you don't want to, just know my final recommendation is this is not worth a full price ticket. Wait till it gets to a different cheap theater, or you can go and get a cheap matinee, or you have a free ticket or something like that. It's not worth full price. Hell, I'm only really saying that because I know that if I gave it a Redbox Netflix rating, I'd get a lot of shit for that. But let's talk about it. So Katniss and Gale decide to just go on ahead dressed as one of the refugees of the capital, because Snow is letting all the capital refugees come to his mansion where they'll be protected, have food and medicine. You know, trying to last-ditch effort to make himself look appealing and good. So they try to sneak in with the crowd. That's when the rebels attack, and using the rebels as a distraction, Katniss is able to get almost to the front gates of the Capitol. When a plane flies by, dropping those little propeller gift things from, you know, the other Hunger Game movies, the one that go beep, boo, beep, boo. And all of the Capitol raises their hands, and they explode, killing off Capitol civilians, most of whom were children, because the guards were singling out the children as the most important ones that needed to be helped. Again, the severity of this scene is completely neutered by the fact that there's not a single drop of blood or even a char mark where things are. They just assumed that all of the barricades that people were standing next to, oh yeah, they're rubble, they're gone. There's a lot of dust there. How did the body survive if the barricades didn't? And that's when the medical corps from the rebellion comes up to try to offer aid to everybody. This is a spoiler. Now, as it was established in the last film, Katniss' sister has been training with the medics there. So she was part of this group who just come a hell out of nowhere, whose job was to stay on the back lines and help civilians both from the Capitol as well as the rebellion soldiers, giving them medical aid and getting them out of the war zone. Somehow made it through the entire thing into the basically center of the Capitol, where the most resistance is, runs past all of the warriors, the peacekeepers and rebels alike, to help these people. Katniss sees Primrose in the group, calls out to her, then a second explosion hits, killing off the entire medical corps, including her. Katniss barely survives. She really blows back and her clothes are on fire. Get it? The girl on fire. Irony is not lost on me, but this scene still sucks. For two reasons. One, where the hell did she come from? It's never established that this is how far they are in. She literally is just there for the sake of getting killed off. She's in 3 goddamn scenes in this movie. 3! She's at the beginning when they're trying to talk to Peeta inside of the crazy cell they put him in from the last movie. She's at the square dance fest inside of the freaking wedding that Finnick was at. And then she just shows up here. She's never seen. She has not been seen in the film for over an hour, and she just pops up out of nowhere to die. Fuck you, okay? Fuck you. That is not how you do this. Establish that the medical corps is nearby. Have them actually regain communication when they're down there. Yeah, it may not have been in the book, but it would have been sure of a hell lot better than this. And for those who are about to argue that it was in the book, let me tell you, I talked to people who have read the book, and they have told me this is what happens. The first bombing happens, and the fighting basically stops for about an hour. And in that time, the medical corps from the rebel side they were able to call them and get them past the traps to get there. They were there for about a half hour when a second explosion went off, then killed them. Which is a much better way of pacing this type of scenario, because it would have established that they got called in. Why the second bomb went off and why no one instantly raised red flags right there? Because it's pretty clear who did this. It wasn't Snow. It was Coin. It was the stupid president who's running the rebellion. The District 13 person. Why would Snow kill kids? The second explosion, you might be able to argue that was him, and that was part of the overall master plan. But what would that accomplish? It would turn his entire guard against him. The only people who are protecting him. And they acknowledge this. There's a scene right at... Again, this is handled very, very well, but I still hate this decision. To kill off Primrose. I'm sorry. The whole point, the whole reason this is happening is tied back to the first movie where Katniss volunteered for her sister to save her life. And then the end of it, she just died. She's dead. What was the point of the other movies? Answer, there wasn't one. It's sad to say, but there really wasn't a point now that she's dead. I get it, the tragical element, that the thing that we want to protect the most is one thing that dies. Let me tell you, wouldn't it have been better to kill off the mother? The traumatized mother who admittedly joined the medical corps with it, but mostly because her daughter is trying to snap her back to reality. You get the emotional impact, and it wouldn't have made the movies pointless. Or the books. I'm just saying that there's more than one way that we could have done this. But it is handled very well. Katniss doesn't know what to believe. And she, after a conversation with Snow, where he basically tells her that this is a masterful move on President Coin's part, to which I would actually say, no, it just proves how much people are idiots inside of this universe. And Katniss is legitimately brain raped. She doesn't know how to react. She doesn't know what to do. There's a point where Gale comes in to talk to her, and this is the one moment where I actually felt the actor who played Gale actually gave a damn, and he actually did something. And Katniss confronts him and said, "Was that bomb us?" And he legitimately he's confused and he is broken up because he just says it like it is. I honestly don't know. All I know is that I was charged with protecting your family and I failed. I don't have the right to talk to you anymore. And he actually delivers it very, very well and leaves. This is very well handled, but the decision to kill her off is still a stupid one. So Katniss ends up getting a meeting with Coin and the other tributes where President Coin then tells them basically that she did this by saying that she's announced herself the interim president. Who knows how long that would last. And they even actually state it like that. And that in order to calm everyone down and to punish the capital while calming the other districts down enough so that they can actually rebuild society again, she pronounces that they have one more Hunger Game involving capital kids. 24 capital kids. Yeah. Considering someone just killed a bunch of kids right in front of us, you probably shouldn't tell them that I'm the one that wants to kill kids. You're smarter than this, right? Please tell me you're smarter than this. So, Katniss plays along and basically votes that they do go with the whole Hunger Game, the ceremonial Hunger Games thing. In exchange, she gets to kill Snow in a public execution. And you see in the scene, she's walking down the tribute lanes inside of her dorm, and she pulls up the one arrow to shoot him. Coin gives a big speech. And then Katniss does the obvious thing. She shoots Coin. She doesn't kill Snow. Snow dies when all of the masses come in and literally tear him apart. Again, not even a drop of blood. The only blood is from the stupid orifices in his mouth that are bleeding. Just, really? You couldn't give us something there? A little something more? I'm just saying. And Katniss lives happily ever after. I'm not even kidding. That's the end. It doesn't end on that scene. In fact, there's about 30 endings on this scene where they do the stupid fake outs that they could have done, like they did in Return of the King. The movie does not want to end at this point, but that's when it was over. That was when the movie was officially over. But the movie still goes on for about 30 more minutes. So Katniss is unrealistically just allowed to go home back to 12 in the one section of District 12 that wasn't bombed and glassed over, which was apparently the tribute house that she lived in inside of the second movie. She goes back there, being told that she can never be basically seen in public, and when it's appropriate, the person who ends up being president, I think it was the leader of District 8, will give her a pardon after uncovering the truth that she was behind the bombings. Get it? And yeah, she lives there alone. And this is probably the best acted scene in the movie, is when Prim's cat actually shows up. That stupid cat that Katniss hates throughout the whole franchise shows up, and you think it's kind of being played off like comedy. It's like, stupid cat. She's not here. And this is the first time that we actually see her break down and actually mourn her sister's death, where she's just like screaming, "She's not here! Get out of here!" She like starts throwing stuff at the cat. The cat won't move, and it's a really, really harsh, realistic scene where Katniss is not just like crying, but she's like slobbering. She's got spit coming out. It's really intense, and it basically ends with Katniss picking up the cat and crying into it. It's very well acted. You could have ended the movie right there. It does a fake out ending. Fade out? Fade in with music swelling and everything. Next scene, she's hunting. She kills a bird and then somehow, a flying bird, then somehow drags back a turkey. Explain that one. And gets home to find Peeta, who is magically perfectly fine and okay, planting primroses for her dead sister. So he joins and they all live happily ever after. Doesn't end yet. Fade out, fade in. Many years later, where they have kids, and Katniss is talking to a baby about how she has nightmares and they're worse, and she has to play a little game with herself to keep her sane, and it's annoying, but there are much worse games to play, and it ends on a shot of Katniss looking off to the distance. Finally ending. Jesus, 30 minutes. Again, so much fat in this movie. It could have been cut. You could have ended it after the cat scene. I wouldn't have bitched about it. You probably could have ended it after they sent her away, and no one would bitch about it. Yes, it's in the book. I don't care. This is an adaptation. This is the time when you can improve stuff like this. When it's a run-on chapter crap. There really is nothing else to talk about. You get my point from this movie. This movie is just too long. It could have been a really good hour and a half long movie. It could have been a really great one. Instead, it decided to just keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. So much padding in this movie ruins its pacing. The pacing is a snail's pace with the occasional nitro-induced foot to the floor jump start. And then slam on the brakes again. It's so annoying. My final recommendation is, because you're probably going to see it in theaters, wait until you get to a cheap theater. Wait until you can go to a matinee. Don't pay full price for this. It is not worth it. For those who want as I said before, my full opinion is that this is probably more of a Netflix or Redbox it, but at this point, it's the fourth movie inside of this, and we needed closure. So, yeah, that's it for me. Did you enjoy the video? Am I wrong about the Hunger Games, or did you like the other movies better? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below, and maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you want to see more of my stuff, be sure to subscribe to my channel and check out, the videos on my channel. I'll have links to those up here in my more recent videos right down here. Be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitch. Both of the links are in the description below. And, yeah, I guess I'll see you all next time.